Well, the US President Barack Obama has taken his critics on with a foreign policy speech, placing emphasis on supporting international coalitions with less reliance on military might. He says America will continue to lead in the world, describing the country as indispensable.
It's unclear if it's enough to reassure those who accuse the president of weakness for his reluctance to intervene in hotspots like Syria and Ukraine. But will it be enough to convince a war-weary American public? Here's Kesha West.
We must take the battle to the enemy, disrupt his plans, and confront the worst threats before they emerge.
Like his predecessor, George W. Bush, more than a decade earlier, Barack Obama chose the graduation ceremony at the military academy West Point to deliver his new foreign policy doctrine. But unlike President Bush's 2002 speech, this one was decidedly anti-war.
And I would betray my duty to you and to the country we love if I ever sent you into harm's way simply because I saw a problem somewhere in the world that needed to be fixed, or because I was worried about critics who think military intervention is the only way for America to avoid looking weak.
Obama's argument is that restraint and caution can actually enhance America's credibility and prestige, precisely because it avoids the kind of foreign entanglements and quagmires that all too often took place during the Bush era.
In fact, by most measures,
the president also responded to his critics, who have accused his administration of being too cautious and retreating when American influence was needed most, namely in Iran, Ukraine and in Syria.
As president, I made a decision that we should not put American troops into the middle of this increasingly sectarian war. And I believe that is the right decision. But that does not mean we shouldn't help the Syrian people stand up against a dictator who bombs and starves his own people.
But Tom Switzer from the United States Studies Centre says the problem with President Obama's foreign policy hasn't been the lack of military intervention, but that he's failed to follow through on his threats, particularly when it comes to Syria and Russia.
The problem for President Obama's foreign policy is not so much that he has failed to intervene in civil wars such as Syria or thrown America's weight around in places like Ukraine. The problem is that he has issued all too many prestige-assertive moves, made a lot of ultimatums, threats and commitments, and failed to back that up with force. And that has ultimately diminished American credibility and prestige.
Ukraine has just elected a new president, but pro-Russian separatist fighters continue to revolt against the new US-backed government. More than 50 rebels were reportedly killed in a fresh government offensive to retake the international airport in the eastern city of Donetsk, where 4 OCSE monitors have also been abducted by separatists.
We don't know how the situation will play out, and there will remain grave challenges ahead, but standing with our allies on behalf of international order, working with international institutions, has given a chance for the Ukrainian people to choose their future without us firing a shot.
Critics say President Obama's refusal to use military force in Ukraine sends the wrong message to other countries, namely China, who was embroiled in territorial disputes in the South China Sea. But the president made it clear America would intervene if the situation required it.
In the 21st century, American isolationism is not an option. Regional aggression that goes unchecked, whether in southern Ukraine or the South China Sea or anywhere else in the world, will ultimately impact our allies and could draw in our military.
For now, these cadets may well be the first graduating class since 9/11 not deployed to wars in Iraq and Afghanistan. Instead, the focus will be on training, the president calling on Congress to support a counter-terrorism partnership fund of up to $5 billion to help other countries fight terrorism. For a war-weary American public, this may well be the most important foreign policy speech of Barack Obama's presidency.